Hello and welcome to the Pastor Study. Last time we were together, as we looked at one of the events in the week before Jesus' death, we also see, or actually I should say in the days before Jesus' death, we also see Peter around the fire and Peter's temptation and failure in his life. But it's important for us to understand something. Jesus had told Peter that these events would take place, that Peter himself would deny who Jesus Christ 3 times before the rooster crowed twice. Think about it. Here in Luke chapter 22, he says, having arrested Jesus, they led him away and brought him to the house of the high priest. And Peter follows along with a distance. And so we see this. This is the scene that's set for us. And so the fire is there in the middle of this courtyard, and the trial begins. Such as it was a trial, it really wasn't much of anything, really. But in the middle of this, they sit down, and Peter's there among them, and there's this young servant girl, and he sees him there by the firelight, and she says to him, this man was with him too. She points a finger at him almost and says, hey, I know this guy. This guy was a follower of Jesus. He was one of those disciple type guys. He was a follower. He was one of that inner group. And we see here Peter's reply. He says, woman, I do not know him. And then a little later, there's another one who saw him and says, you're one of him too. But Peter then again replies, man, I do not know him. And then some little bit more time goes on, and there's another individual, and he says, certainly this man was with him, for he is a Galilean. But Peter said, man, I don't know what you're talking about. And while he was still speaking, the rooster crowed. There it is. And Peter, realizing that he has sinned, he remembered the words that Jesus said, before the rooster crows today, you will deny me 3 times. And he goes away sad. And if that's where the story would end, it would be a sad story. And for many of us, we think that in our lives. We've sinned, we've done something wrong, and we know it, and we walk away from Jesus. But we find out later that Jesus comes back to Peter after the resurrection, and he says to Peter, do you love me? 3 times he asks Peter that question. And each time he tells Peter to go and serve him, to be obedient. You see, Jesus had a plan. It involved the use of Peter. And he wanted to forgive him. And he wanted to use him. He wants to forgive us of our sin. And he wants to use us. Let Jesus forgive you and use you. Until the next time in the Pastor's Study, goodbye, and may God